there are some people, including some Israeli people, that want an explanation for how October 7th happened. And some have given explanations, some in the military, some from the political side. Are they owed an explanation? Have you given an explanation to the people of your point of view?
I think we're going to have to give a thorough explanation, and I think we're going to have a thorough examination once the war ends of exactly what happened, how it happened, and who made it happen. That's something that you have to do. But I think right now our goal is one, to achieve victory. We cannot, there's no substitute for victory. There is no substitute. We can get into this discussion, and we will, but right now we have to win.
Was there a military failure here? Was there a political failure?
There were failures, obviously. First of all, government. The government's first responsibility is to protect the people. That's the ultimate enveloping responsibility, and the people weren't protected. We have to admit that.
Do you hold yourself to that standard, that you failed in some way?
I hold myself and everyone on this. I think we have to examine how it happened. What was the intelligence failure? What was the military failure? We can delve into it, but I think the important thing right now is to make sure that we don't have another failure, because the greatest failure would be, we've recovered from this attack. After this horrible murder, we went right into the counterattack. Now the question is, our greatest failure will be if we don't complete it. If we allow these murderers to be there and to get control of Gaza again, that will be inexcusable. And I'm focused right now on achieving this victory.
If there are 3 or 4 battalions left, and I have no doubt that you will overcome those 3 or 4 battalions, or however many are left, I have no doubt that your resolve is to the core and that they will be wiped out. What happens to Palestine, the Gaza Strip, the day they're gone?
I think we'll have to assure continuous demilitarization, because even if you destroy the terrorist army, you can have individual terrorists left. We have to root them out constantly. We'll probably have to have some kind of civilian government, civilian administration by Gazans who are not committed to our destruction. Possibly, I think, with the aid of the United Arab Emirates, Saudi Arabia, and other countries that I think want to see stability and peace. But we're going to have Israel continually root out terrorists, because I don't see anyone coming in to do that right now. Frankly, I mean, if I would, I'd love to, because I'd love to see that, but I don't see it. So we'll continue to take action against the remnants of the terrorist army.
But you'll immediately start to alleviate the humanitarian crisis when you can.
We're doing it now. We're flooding Gaza with humanitarian help.
How do you keep it from being stolen? Is it because you backed them all into one area?
No, a lot of it is, there's looting by Hamas and others, but we've seen the price of food plummet because of the trucks that we're putting in. We're putting hundreds of trucks each day into Gaza, even though we know that Hamas will be looting quite a bit of it. But the important thing is to do what we can to avoid a humanitarian catastrophe by giving food and medicine and water, and at the same time to evict, to let out the Palestinian population from the areas that will be battle zones. And the thing that's blocking that is Hamas at gunpoint, that tells them, you stay in the places where we're going to fight. We tell them leave, they tell them stay. And if they try to leave, they shoot them. But overwhelmingly, most of them left, and that's why we don't have the number of casualties that you had in Mosul or in Fallujah, or, I mean, the proportion, or in Manila.
What do you say?
They could leave.
What do you say to this rhetoric from the ICC that contemplate warrants for your arrest for war crimes? How do you even respond to that?
I think it's absurd. It's a travesty. I mean, I didn't see them go after the Ayatollahs in Iran. I didn't see them go after Bashar Assad here, who butchered his people. I didn't see them go after other war criminals. To take Israel, a democratic country that uses the highest standards of military conduct, a standard that no army has matched in history, and to put its leaders and its commanders and its soldiers on trial for war crimes is to make a mockery of the whole idea of international law.
Well, you're not under their jurisdiction anyway, but if you even read their charter, they say that they cannot intercede where a country has its own self-policing.
Yes, its own,
which clearly Israel does at the highest standard.
I think we have the most independent judiciary on the planet.
Of course.
Okay, so it's absurd in any way you look at it.
So they violate their own charter
Yes.
by even talking about it.
That's exactly right.
So it seems to me, and let me tell you, there's a lot of conversation among the senators in the U.S. that would not stand for that to occur. That's why I say I want Israeli people who may read about this to know that the vast majority of Americans stand behind you, they stand behind Israel, they stand behind eliminating Hamas, and they recognize that what's being peddled in the press is not the reality. Most of the people understand that, but they don't control the press that's being put out there, which is why I wanted to do this interview. I wanted to get this said so people understand the truth and that you and I can have an open exchange about this.
Well, I welcome the fact that you're doing this, because I think what we expect from decent people everywhere is to stand up for the truth, stand up for our common values, which are under terrific assault. Don't be cowed by the propaganda. Don't be swept away by these mobs on the campuses. Stand up. You know, and 10 days after Hitler came to power in 1933, the Oxford Student Union in Britain said that they resolved that they will not fight for king and country, okay? And you know what happened. And obviously that kind of attitude would have doomed Western civilization. Britain would have lost, the West would have lost, Nazism would have triumphed. We face the new Nazis. We're doing it on behalf of ourselves, but also on behalf of our common civilization, our common future. I know that many people in America who are listening to us now understand this, and I want to thank them. If I look at the camera, I want to thank you, all of you, for standing up with Israel. Stand up for the truth, stand with Israel. When you're doing that, you're standing up for America.
Absolutely, we're standing up for America. Now, your wife and I would want to know that clearly this is traumatizing to the people of Israel, not just those that lost people on October 7th, but the entire country. Palestinians that have lost people in this. Is there a plan to help heal these scars once victory is at hand and there's a plan to try to restore some sort of order in the Gaza Strip? Is there a plan to try to help heal those scars that everybody is under?
I think two things. You mentioned my wife, who's a child psychologist, and she's been dealing with these families of hostages and also our bereaved soldiers. You know, we've lost hundreds of soldiers who fought bravely and fell in Gaza. And, you know, it requires a continuous effort of assistance and treatment because their souls are scarred. But at the same time, we also think about the reconstruction of Gaza once we eliminate these terrorist thugs who are controlling it. Basically, they've hijacked Gaza. They've, you know, they kill anybody who just raises even the possibility of opposing them. They just wipe them off, put a bullet in the back of their heads. So, yes, there is a different future. It can be achieved, but that different future goes through one word: victory. And unfortunately, I have to go back to managing the war. So I'm going to, again, thank you for coming here. I want to point out that we're looking at the city of David. That's the original Jerusalem, which is there nestled between those hills. And this is where the Jewish people established our capital 3,000 years ago. So we've been here a long time, and we intend to stay.
Yeah, and I'm so moved by seeing all of this, and I think people should know that there's an Arab population living right here.
It's a village right here.
Right here in this village.
These are the houses you see here, next to the Jewish houses right here.
And that's something that is so amazing about Israel, that you are so inclusive and so diverse in everything here, and people, I think, don't realize that. And as I've driven through the city since I've been here, hostage posters are everywhere. This isn't off the radar at all, and it's your #1 priority of getting these hostages back.
We'll get them out. Dr. Phil, thank you.
Prime Minister, thank you for taking the time to sit down with me. It means a lot, and America is paying attention to this. Don't listen to just the shrill voices from the fringe. We're behind you.
Thank you. And thank you, America.
Thank you.